years of perfect attendance. And he was on this chart last year. That was Dick Bell, and he was the chairman of the airport board. And he had the discourtesy of passing away without letting too many people. I didn't see it on my schedule. But it did cause a little bit of a change in the composition of the board. Helen Kraus was the appointee from Wood River. Dick Bell was appointed by the mayor of Wood River. He was the guy before you for Dave, the doctor. Ayers. Was appointed by David Ayers. Uford decided to keep him on the board even though there was a change in the mayors. The board elects its own chairman. So even though Helen came on board to replace Dick Bell, she did not replace him as board chairman. The board elected Darrell McGivney, and I'm sure a lot of each name here has got to be familiar to several people, and I found that out as I've been talking around. Past experience in the public sector, he was formerly a, what do they call it in Alton, assembly member. Yeah, that. He was appointed by Tom Hakes, the previous mayor, and then the new mayor came along, and sometimes when a new mayor comes along, you think there's going to be a change. The present mayor not only kept him on the board, but assigned him an additional committee duty somewhere else. So he's very well respected. Shirley Kleeman, we talked about her. She runs a business. She's the appointee from East Alton. Fred Bright appointed her. She runs CR Systems. She and her daughter, Kristen, is on our hit list, and I've invited them to accompany me when it's mutually convenient for both of them to come over, because Shirley has a little bit of experience with East Alton Rotary. She got the Business of the Year award a few years ago. Matt Steemack, a little bit unusual situation there. He's a principal in Wood River, but he lives in Bethalto. So it was the previous mayor of Bethalto that appointed him. How soon we forget? Steve Bryant had appointed him to the board. Again, a changeover in mayors. The current mayor, Alan Winslow, is elected to keep him on the board. Then we have 3 county appointees. Now, for those of you that have heard this before, forgive me, but the new people might find this interesting. We have 7 communities in the airport district. 4 of those mayors appoint a board member. The mayor of Alton, East Alton, Wood River, and Bethalto. We also have Roxana, South Roxana, and Hartford in the airport district. But by Illinois statute, they do not have the population base to appoint a board member. You have to have a population base of 5,000, and then you can appoint a board member. And I think Roxana is up to 3,500. So once they get to 5,000, they can appoint a board member, and one of the county appointees drops off. So in the far, far distant future, when my children's children finally see South Roxana and Hartford get to 5,000 people, then the county will be out of the appointment business. So these 3 are appointed by the county chairman. Steve Cochin recently retired. He was an administrative officer for the Sheriff's Department. He also has an appointment to the levy district. And you may connect the dots there with the levy district. The levy issue is the singular most important problem that we have facing us in this area. The next gentleman, George Machino, recently retired, very strong, savvy, intelligent union member. As the airport manager, I would never say who my favorite board member is, but my favorite board member has the same initials as George Machino. Another new addition since we last met, Greg McCauley, and I found out he used to be a member of this Rotary Club. He's a past president of this Rotary Club. Then he went to the low rent district. He did something down in Granite City, and now he's back in the Wood River area, so there might be some chance there of putting something together. A couple of other things that have happened at the airport. We are very close to developing what used to be the Wayside Estate subdivision. That's that area behind Walgreens. We have nothing to do with Walgreens. We don't own that property, we don't lease it, nothing. However, the old Service Master property, we bought that. The previous vacant chiropractic clinic, we bought that. There's a strip right on 140 we do not own, but all the rest of that the airport owns. We have inked a deal with J.G. Gruey of St. Louis to develop that area. Now, Gruey has experience real close here. He developed, he's kind of a site selector for Applebee's. And so he selected the site, built the facility where the Wood River Applebee's is, and gave Applebee's their first choice of which unit they wanted, and also the Applebee's on Homer Adams Parkway. Did the same thing there. So he has, this is his first experience working with an airport and having to deal with the FAA. This may be his last experience working with an airport and dealing with the FAA. Things were progressing. We had certain hoops we had to go through because of where it's located. And then all of a sudden this summer, everything just stopped. I wasn't getting any progress. What's going on? I was about to go up to FAA headquarters and break the kneecaps. And then I found out what the problem was. The FAA was awaiting a letter from the Corps of Engineers. Now keep in mind, at this point in time, I'm working with two large, huge, federal, sequestered, furloughed agencies. And finally we had a powwow out at the airport, in a small conference room, and 10 days later the FAA had their letter from the Corps of Engineers, which meant we could get back on track, proceeding at the speed of government. So we're going to hopefully be breaking ground in Wayside subdivision.
When it floods up there, it's pretty deep, isn't it?
Well, it has to do with stormwater runoff. That's what the issue was. Because in that particular area, the stormwater runoff goes to Wood River. I can't imagine why anybody would care, but anyway, that was the reason. So that's an important piece of non-aeronautical development that's going on at the airport.
Was it going to be a mixed usage in there?
It's, well, I don't know what you mean by mixed.
I mean, you're going to have some commercial and
Yes.
residential? And
No residential. It's zoned for light industrial and commercial. And Gruey is keeping it very close to his vest as to what is going in there. We have some pretty good intel that there will probably be a supermarket that goes in there. And after that, everybody has one. So that means everybody has their guess as to what supermarket that might be. We do know that the Schnucks store that's got a corner across the intersection over there, it's a good store, but it is the worst store in the Schnucks chain. And they want to expand that store, they can't get the property to expand it. So my two-cell brain thinks, well, maybe Schnucks will be building this kind of store that's acceptable to their standards over there. Also, what used to be Render's Pharmacy is now Shop and Save Pharmacy, so maybe they're trying to get their nose underneath the tent. So having said that, it's probably going to be something I've never heard of.
And who's getting the tenants in there?
J.G. Gruey will, yeah. The aeronautical side of things, we're pretty excited about that. We are in the process of building a 43,000 square foot hangar for West Star Aviation. West Star Aviation, you need to understand a little bit about their business, but for the last 18 months, they have been maintaining a $34 million backlog in their work. They have the facility here in East Alton. They have a similar facility in Grand Junction, Colorado. They just opened one in Columbia, South Carolina. And they were running one and just sold it in Dallas, Texas. They have a small presence over at Spirit Airport on the other side of the Mississippi Ocean, and a smaller presence in Aspen, Colorado, where somebody just crashed an airplane up there and shut down that airport. I can't imagine shutting down an airport just because somebody crashed. And then a smaller presence in Des Moines. But their national headquarters is right here in East Alton. They do all their billing, all their payroll, and their CEO and CFO do not live in any of these locations. They live in Wichita, Kansas. So they're on the road. Boeing tried to put a big bite when Boeing, a big sucking sound when Boeing left Wichita, trying to get them to move the facility there, and they said, no way. So let me, wow, you're a good audience.